What's going on, people? Welcome back to the opposition preview. I'm joined by Ricky from Last Word on Spurs to look ahead to the game as we're closing into the finale of the season slowly. We've got Tottenham up next, and it's going to be an interesting one because there's a lot going on at Tottenham. As always, make sure to check out Last Word on Spurs, as well as, if you haven't done so, subscribe to Back of the Nest as well. Ricky, thanks for joining me. I know you haven't got much time. Let's get straight through it. Funny season with Spurs. Honestly, you probably hate this word, but it can't be more Spurs than this. Change of managers, even last-minute results. What is going on? Seriously, like, what is the overall picture of Spurs right now towards the end of the season?
Oh, Dealer, always a pleasure to come on the show. Look, an absolute mess, if I'm being honest with you. Spurs being Spurs, I think everyone knew it wasn't going to work under Antonio Conte. I think many of us were just surprised at how it escalated to him having to leave the football club. A lot of home truths being told, and rightly so. Spurs then, of course, getting rid of Conte, bringing in Christian Stellini, his number two. Nothing really much changed under Stellini. Again, it was very much Conte brand of football, Conte style of management, and ultimately, really, that's what led to Stellini being departed and now seeing Ryan Mason in the job. So, an absolute catalogue of disasters in keeping with what is the soap opera of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Yeah, so what was it with Ryan Mason now? Is it till the end of the season? Do you want him to stay on further than that, or?
Well, I think end of the season is fine. We'll obviously review then onwards what we feel. I think Ryan is a safe pair of hands. He's a Tottenham man. Obviously, he's had this situation before where he's took the team when Mourinho was mutually leaving the football club, if you want to put it in that politest way. He'll bring back some form of identity to Tottenham. We've seen that over the last couple of games. Very, very unlucky, of course, to not have nicked the point at Anfield. I say nick a point. They dominated the game really after half an hour where Liverpool just took their foot off the pedal and were free up and allowed Spurs to get back into the game. But look, Ryan Mason is a steady pair of hands. As I said, he's a Tottenham man. He'll bring back some form of identity to the team, which I think you've seen over these last few weeks. But I think, if a club like Tottenham want to be ambitious, I want to be competitive again, they've got to look to appoint a manager that obviously can take them to that next level. Lots of names being mentioned at the moment, like, of course, Julian Nagelsmann, Arne Slot. It won't be Mauricio Pochettino, which I know many Spurs fans wanted. Of course, looks like he's going to be joining Chelsea. So, yeah, just again, another crazy time to be a Spurs fan where it seems non-stop drama at the moment, D.
Yeah. So do you have faith that they could appoint the right person going on? Because there's a lot of, it seems like, discontent amongst the fan base with the ownership.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think there's a lot of discontent amongst the fan base, and probably rightly so because of the amount of mistakes that have happened over the course of the last 4 or 5 years since Mauricio's departure from the club. Very hard to really back them and feel they'll make the right decision or the right choice. So ultimately, yeah, it leaves them in a situation where they're trying their best to try and get the right man in, but I don't think even they know who the right man is, given the uncertainty over the betting market at the moment. That tells you everything with regards to the vacant job. I think they like Julian Nagelsmann. Whether Nagelsmann will want to swap what was Bayern Munich to come to Tottenham, where there's a lot of political things that go behind the scenes at Spurs, I'm really not sure upon. So I think it will be still an open race come the end of the season, and then we'll have to see into the summer who Spurs do eventually decide to choose.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but let's just say that there's a lot to talk about with Spurs from your side of things anyways, and it won't stop come the summer because there's Harry Kane, there's the manager, and there's more. But what about Palace? What have you made of Palace so far this season? We got rid of Vieira, probably happy with that, and we brought in Roy Hodgson. He's been getting points as well. What have you made of the decision to sack Vieira, bring in Hodgson? Are you worried about this game?
So I've got to say, when Palace did let Vieira go, I think there was an element of surprise outside of Palace fans because I think everyone could see that Palace were playing a progressive brand of football to some degree, but it was clear that Vieira had lost that in those last few months in the job. And ultimately, when you're losing games and it's a results-driven business, nothing surprises you in football. So I think with Palace, it looks like they've made the right decision now. I think it could have gone the other way potentially. But you have to say Hodgson's come in. He's got Palace safe now. They're not going to go down. They've got the magic 40 points. And again, similar with Tottenham, Palace have got to look at the summer and see who they want to appoint, what vision they want to go in. I think Palace fans were open to seeing a more expressive brand of football, which of course led to the Vieira appointment. I'm sure they won't want to deviate too much away from that either. But I think Steve Parish needs to make his mind up as to what kind of manager he wants and stick to it. I think, like I said, there was probably some pros and cons as to why Vieira at the time maybe could have stayed or had to go. Again, there was that concern that Palace weren't simply picking up points. My argument was that I think if you saw the run of games Vieira had to come before he was sacked, I would like to have seen what he would have done in those run of games. But look, having said that, Roy Hodgson's come in. He's made a difference. He's got Palace the points they need to stay in the division, which was first and foremost the most important thing for a club like Palace. But it'll be really intriguing to see what they do in the summer. I think Palace will come to Spurs, and I think they'll want to try and be their expressive self. There's not a better time to play Tottenham at the moment, I have to say. I know I keep saying that every week on a lot of these opposition previews, but there isn't genuinely a better time to play Tottenham. I think I said to you last time that I couldn't see Spurs beating Palace. I really couldn't. And Tottenham, obviously, I think went on to win that game. Yeah, honestly, I said to you, there's no way that was going to happen. So, again, that tells you, there's always surprises in football, which I didn't see that one coming at the time. And I'll be intrigued to see, again, how Spurs do play under Mason. To be fair, when he was last in interim charge of the club, he did get a few results, which, again, was maybe quite surprising given the collapse under Jose Mourinho. I think Palace is one of those games where it's one of the more favourable that Spurs have got left between now and the end of the season. And I think, Spurs could go and beat Palace, but ultimately what Spurs are playing for now is essentially a place in either the Europa League or the Conference League, which doesn't appetite fans too much. So I think, again, Palace can come and enjoy it. They're safe. They can play an expensive brand of football. And I think that's what could lead to them potentially getting something at Tottenham. But it's going to be a game where there'll be two teams on there playing the right kind of football, which I don't think I'd say about Tottenham. I think they will try and play a decent brand of football this weekend.
Yeah. So in terms of players to watch out for, who would you pick out that Palace need to try and stop in this game, especially if they're in form?
Yeah, well, I mean, Heung-min Son's come into a little bit of form now. It's 4 goals in his last 6 games, and Harry Kane, he's just been Harry Kane now. Obviously, the goal he scored against Liverpool moved him to the second highest top goal scorer in all time in the Premier League. So I think Harry and Son will be the guys I say to look out for. Apart from that, really, there's no one that's in great amount of form for Tottenham at the moment. And that pretty much sums up where Spurs' positions in the league and why they are where they are. So, yeah, I think I'd say Harry Kane and Heung-min Son in terms of the players that Palace have got to watch out for. If I'm being honest with you, I'm more worried about the Palace players that I've got to be concerned about. I think Eze is a very obviously good player. Zaha looks like he's come back into a bit of form, scored the weekend. And Palace have got dangerous players, so I think it will be a tough game for Tottenham.
Yeah, and let's go move on to the score predictions now. How do you see it going? Because last time you said there's no way that we're beating Palace. You destroyed us 4-0. So how do you see this one going?
I mean, I should keep on that reverse psychology, but just for the sake of your show, I think I'll say a 3-1 Spurs win, but I do expect Palace to get chances. I think it's one of those games where if Palace take their chances, they could be in for a real good away day at Spurs. But I do expect Tottenham to win this game. I think I'll back Spurs to win 3-1. It would mean back-to-back defeats for Roy Hodgson, I believe, as well, potentially. Would that be right in saying?
We beat West Ham.
Sorry, one defeat in the last, a couple of defeats in the last 3, but obviously a big result for Palace against West Ham, which was obviously preserving their Premier League status. So, yeah, I'll say a Spurs win, but Palace won't go down without a fight.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Your score predictions ahead of the game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Palace win. There's just something about our attack that should be interesting, especially with your defense.
Yeah, I agree.
Saying that it might be 2-2 as well. I think there might be goals in this game. Let's just say that. I think there might
definitely
be a bit of exciting game towards the end of the season. But before we go, Ricky, how can they find you and your brilliant work?
Bless you. Thank you so much, Dee. Yeah, obviously check us out at Last Word On Spurs. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Obviously, we're going to be providing post-match analysis. Many call it therapy now on the back of games, and we're there after the Palace game for that. So again, thanks so much, Dee. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone who's watching. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace.